Breaking news! The buzz around the Cleveland Browns is electric, and I have a ton of crucial updates that every Browns fan needs to hear. Everything we're covering today directly impacts the Browns. From the chaos in the AFC North to major NFL rule changes, future Olympic storylines, and even playoff scenarios that could have completely reshaped our past seasons. You'll see why this franchise is on the cusp of something big. But before we dive into all that, leave a comment right now like this: Go Browns! We were made for this, if you truly have brown and orange blood. Let's start with the circus in Cincinnati, because it's truly amazing how this organization keeps finding new ways to self-destruct. The Bengals somehow pulled off the impossible and signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Credit where credit is due. But then, as if the universe needed some balance, they immediately stumbled upon their first-round draft pick, Shedeur, who to this day has yet to sign his rookie contract. He's not practicing, not in OTAs, not participating in voluntary workouts. And the crazy thing is why this is happening. The Bengals drafted Stewart specifically because they didn't want to pay Trey Hendrickson. That was the whole point, draft a replacement so they could move on from paying a top pass rusher. And guess what? Now they won't pay the rookie replacement either. Only in Cincinnati does a team sell TVs half off in July to pay rent and also refuse to pay both the guy who led the league in sacks and the kid they drafted to replace him. The issue seems to be the same old Bengals problem: guaranteed money. This franchise is notorious for refusing to give guaranteed money past year 1 or 2 of rookie deals. It's the same script every time. And look, let's be real. This is Shedeur, a guy who had 3 straight seasons of 1.5 sacks. Not exactly elite production. Yet the Bengals spent a first-rounder on him, and now they're stuck in this ridiculous standoff. This drama in Cincinnati directly benefits the Browns. If Hendrickson is disgruntled or Stewart's not on the field, that pass rush gets softer. That gives Deshaun Watson more time in the pocket. It makes those key AFC North matchups tilt even more in Cleveland's favor. And that's not just optimism, that's the reality unfolding in real time. Now let's pivot to the biggest rule debate in the NFL that had Browns fans watching closely: the tush-push ban. The league was seriously considering banning the Eagles' infamous QB sneak play. And honestly, for weeks it looked like it was a lock to get voted out. Even top reporters were dead sure it would happen. But guess what? The vote failed. And here's the kicker: the Cleveland Browns were one of the 10 teams that voted not to ban it. That's right. While 22 teams wanted it gone, the Browns stood firm and said, nope, we play real football. And honestly, thank goodness. The idea that the NFL was going to ban a play simply because only one team figured out how to execute it perfectly was absurd. You want to stop the tush-push? Build a better defensive line. Don't whine to the rules committee. It's football. The Browns voting to keep it legal tells you a lot about this front office's mindset. They're tough. They believe in winning in the trenches. And they're not here to play soft. And let's not ignore how absolutely ridiculous the whole voting process was. At one point, the league tried to resolve it without even taking a formal vote, locking players like Jason Kelce out of the discussion because he was intimidating the owners. I mean, seriously? It turned into some Sith Lord secret meeting where billionaires decided the fate of one play. But in the end, common sense won out, and the play stays. Now let's talk about something none of us saw coming but absolutely has Browns fans buzzing. The 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles are officially adding flag football as an Olympic sport. Yeah, you heard that right. Flag football. And don't roll your eyes, because this isn't some gimmick. This is real, it's happening, and the Browns could actually have players representing Team USA. Here's how it works: 5-on-5, 10-man rosters. The field is 70 by 25 yards. 2 20-minute halves. For downs to get to midfield, then 4 downs to score. And yes, you can't run the ball within 5 yards of the end zone, so this is all about speed, space, and hands. And let me tell you, there are 3 guys on the Browns roster who would absolutely thrive in this format. Jerry Jeudy, perfect fit. In flag football, it's not about breaking tackles. It's about quick cuts, acceleration, and making defenders miss in open space. Jeudy does that in his sleep. Then there's Denzel Ward, one of the fastest, most agile DBs in the league. His ability to track and close space makes him a lockdown flag football corner. And of course, you've got to at least entertain the thought of Myles Garrett. Look, I know, his game is built on power and violence. But if Superman decided he wanted to play flag, you'd have to think he could figure it out. That said, realistically, flag football favors guys like Micah Parsons and Nolan Smith, leaner, faster players who excel in space over power. And this opens the door for a wild question: who's quarterbacking Team USA? You could go with Lamar Jackson, whose speed makes him perfect in this setting. But 3 years from now, maybe it's Jaden Daniels. Either way, this whole Olympic storyline is going to be something Browns fans will actually care about because our guys might be wearing red, white, and blue on top of brown and orange. Alright, let's get back to the hardcore football stuff because this next one directly impacts how the Browns attack the playoffs in the future, the seeding debate. The Detroit Lions proposed a rule change to eliminate guaranteed home playoff games for division winners. No more win the division, host a game. Instead, it would be purely based on overall record, 1 through 7. Simple, clean, and the NFL almost considered it. But guess what? It got pulled at the last minute because it didn't have enough support. Why? Because teams like Cleveland value division rivalries. Think about it. If winning the AFC North doesn't guarantee a home playoff game, what happens to the drama of Week 18? It gets watered down. Rivalries matter. Divisional battles matter. And while yes, there have been some embarrassing moments where sub-.500 teams hosted playoff games, like the 2020 Washington football team or the 7-9 Seahawks, it's not common enough to blow up the entire system. And just so we're clear, if this rule had been in place in the past, it actually would have helped the Browns. In 2023, instead of being the 5 seed, Cleveland would have been the 4 and hosted the Houston Texans. In 2002, we would have jumped one spot. But even with those perks, most Browns fans agree, keep the divisions matching. Earn that playoff home game by beating your rivals. So Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on the tush push? Should the Browns have voted to ban it? Or do you agree with the front office that it's part of real football? And what about flag football? Do you think guys like Judy or Ward should suit up for Team USA in the Olympics? And as we peel back even more layers of this wild offseason, the implications for the Cleveland Browns just keep getting bigger. Because while the drama in Cincinnati simmers and the rest of the AFC continues reshuffling, the Browns are quietly setting themselves up as one of the most strategically positioned teams in the entire league. This isn't just about 2024, it's about a front office that understands how to build a sustainable winner in a rapidly changing NFL. Let's circle back to the Bengals situation for a second, because it's even worse than it looked on the surface. Think about what happens if Trey Hendrickson ends up holding out longer than anyone expects or forces his way out of Cincinnati entirely. Their pass rush, already shaky, becomes practically non-existent. The Browns, who've had their share of offensive line injuries in the past, would have an open runway for Deshaun Watson to operate comfortably from the pocket in both matchups this season. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and David Njoku feasting against the secondary force to hold coverage for an extra 2 seconds? That's a nightmare for any defensive coordinator. And speaking of defensive breakdowns, the Bengals' issue isn't just edge rushers. Their secondary is quietly one of the weakest in the conference. Losing key veterans and relying on young, inexperienced corners to carry the load against teams like the Browns, who now boast one of the most versatile receiver rooms in the league, is a recipe for disaster. It's no stretch to say Cleveland could realistically sweep Cincinnati this year, something that hasn't happened in years, and use those 2 games as a springboard to winning the division outright. Now let's not ignore the absolute gold mine that is the flag football conversation. It's fun, sure, but it's also a glimpse into how this Browns roster is uniquely built for modern football. The skills that make a guy dominant in flag, speed, quickness, spatial awareness, fluid route running, are the exact same traits that NFL offenses are increasingly prioritizing. This isn't the 1990s anymore. Power football still matters, but the ability to win in space is what separates good teams from great ones. The Browns' emphasis on adding guys like Jeudy and developing speed in the secondary with players like Denzel Ward shows that this front office understands where the league is headed. And let's not underestimate how big the playoff risk-eating conversation really is. The fact that the Lions' proposal got shut down tells you one thing: